You know how often we see highlights of up and coming basketball players, especially like on the high school level, and you see them doing all these flashy dunks, all these elaborate crossovers and breaking people down. And then sometimes you just sit back and you say, like, well, that's great, but can you dribble? Can you pass? Can you hit a nice mid range jumper? Can you do the basics, the fundamentals? And then you realize, like, nope, they're just a highlight reel. That's all they're good for. That's what this Money in the Bank felt like. It felt like WWE was losing sight of the fundamentals, of the basics, trying to do too much, overthinking things. And it led to me, one of the worst pay-per-views of the year. Trish Stratus is the host. This seemed to be kind of last minute, but she was the host. She introduces Samantha Irvin to sing the Star Spangled Banner, and then some guy named Ryland James sings the Canadian national anthem. We start off with the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. Jey Uso is out first. I know I kind of crapped on Leon Francis fans, but they still do his entrance better than anyone. Andrade came out. He got no reaction. LA Knight got a great reaction. He walked under the ladder a la Razor Ramon at WrestleMania 10. Carmelo Hayes, at least he got some reaction. Chad Gable got the appropriate amount of boos, and Drew McIntyre came out to CM Punk chants. Look, I'm not going to go through every spot in this match. It was a lot of chaos in the beginning, a lot of creative spots, especially with Andrade and Hayes. But my problem with ladder matches or gimmick matches like this is so often the spots involve two people who are just hurting themselves. Like, it looks cool that Andrade and Hayes do a Spanish fly off the rope onto a ladder, but who exactly is that supposed to benefit? They both get hurt equally. So once again, it just becomes an impressive spot that doesn't really serve a purpose. Chad Gable had some nice moments where he did some creative suplexes, and then he got a standing ovation, and then the crowd quickly told him though that he still sucks. I loved that. That was funny. There was a point where we kind of get to the finish, and things really played out well. Andrade did a sunset powerbomb flip on Hayes from the top of the ladder, which took both of them out. Chad Gable throws Knight over the top ropes with the belly to belly, and he landed on a ladder that was set up earlier that was kind of bridged. And then Chad climbs up. He has the case, but then Jey removes the ladder, leaving Chad kind of dangling in the air with the case. And then he falls down and he eats a spear from Jey. And then Jey climbs up. And then Drew literally just throws a ladder at him and knocks him off. And then he claymores him out the ring, and Drew climbs and wins the match. Look, this match was... There's a fine balance in these ladder matches in the sense that I don't necessarily want them to feel like they need to go over the top and do too much and half kill themselves. The women decided to take that upon themselves later on. But I also don't necessarily want them to play it too safe. I felt like this match was the latter. They played it way too safe. And there was no real drama because there was only really one of two people who could have won. Really, I take that back. There was only one person who could have won. Look, Drew McIntyre called his shot. He said, I'm going to win and I'm going to cash in. WWE doesn't do that unless he actually is going to win and cash in. It's what's selling the pay-per-view or the premium live event. So the fact that he won wasn't a surprise. But I'm going to tell you something that a lot of people won't tell you. I'm willing to bet not one reviewer has said this. Not a single person in this match needed to be in this match, which means this match didn't need to take place. It's one of my biggest problems with Money in the Bank. I kind of wish it would go away or just be reserved for WrestleMania, because there wasn't a single person in this match who was going to win and do anything with that briefcase. If you haven't noticed, both champions are pretty much booked for the foreseeable future on either brand. Cody's probably not losing that belt until he faces The Rock or someone Bloodline related. And then as far on the Raw side, I don't know if you've noticed, but Triple H has a hard-on for Gunther. And if he wins that belt, he's not going to have a short reign. And then next in line, you've got people like Drew McIntyre, you got CM Punk, you got Seth Rollins. I mean, what in the world? I've heard people say, well, they could have gave it to Carmelo Hayes and they could have got him a nice push. To do what? He wasn't going to cash in successfully. He's not even anywhere near the championship picture. How are they going to weave him in? And what about Andrade? Andrade, we need to come to grips with the fact that WWE and AEW see him as nothing more than a good hand in the ring. His best bet is to get the rub from his real life wife, Charlotte Flair. Because nobody is ever going to see him as a major player. He needs to hook up with Charlotte Flair on screen and get the rub from her. He was just in this match so that they could get some nice spots out of him. LA Knight has been in a feud with Logan Paul for the past few months. He is headed for that U.S. title. So he had no business winning the briefcase either. Then you got Jey Uso, who inexplicably is going to be back with the Bloodline stuff very shortly. And I want to do a video on that because it makes absolutely no sense, but that's where we're going. So he too wasn't going to be winning the briefcase. That leaves Chad Gable. Chad Gable has business to deal with the Alpha Academy and the Wyatt Six. Nothing to do with the championship. So it leaves only one person, and that was Drew. Drew didn't need this. This was unnecessary. The match was unnecessary. Everyone involved, unnecessary. And, as a match, it was fine. I give it 3 out of 5 stars. It was fine. It was safe. It did its job. Our next match, Sami Zayn versus Bron Breakker for the Intercontinental Championship. I hated this match. Absolutely hated this match. You have built up Bron Breakker as someone who is faster than everyone, stronger than everyone, able to absorb more punishment. He's supposed to be a monster. And then you've built up Sami Zayn as the underdog. Why in the hell did this match not play out like that? I don't really care if Bron won the title or not, but if you're going to have him lose, he can't lose to just one haluva kick. If you're going to have him in this match, you can't give Sami that much offense. I mean, if you were just coming into this and I told you that Sami Zayn is the underdog that could and Bron Breakker is the destroyer of all things that move, you wouldn't have known it watching this match. I mean, Sami Zayn looked like someone who could just stand right up to Bron Breakker and have an even bout. What are we doing? With this, if you're going to beat Bron Breakker, it should have been with something that was like a surprise roll-up or where he had to kind of trick Bron Breakker into doing something stupid. No, he just straight up beat him with a haluva kick. The same move that really should have... I don't look at the haluva kick as a great finisher. I've never liked it as a finisher. But Bron Breakker should have taken like 2 or 3 of those before he went down, if you were going to do it that way. Do a surprise roll-up if need be. Have some kind of messed up finish. I don't know, but beating him clean after all of that? Now what do you do with him? Do you have a rematch? Why should he deserve a rematch? He just got beat clean. And I'm not one of these people who was clamoring for Sami Zayn to have the Intercontinental title. But now that he has it, he didn't have to have it for this long. He never needed a long reign. It just makes no sense to me. The finish, actually not even the finish, the way this match played out to me was just bad work by whoever produced it. Like I said, Bron losing doesn't necessarily bother me. It's how he lost. So this gets 2 out of 5 for me. This was a terribly played out match. I don't know what they were thinking with this. So then we get an advertisement for Bad Blood, which is returning. I don't know why people are so hyped for this. It's just the pay-per-view name. That's all it is. Maybe it has a Hell in a Cell. I don't know, but I don't have a care in the world for Bad Blood returning. Trish is back out, and she introduces special guest John Cena. I'm just going to say this right now. I have no attachment for John Cena. I have no care in the world for John Cena. I was watching wrestling heavily up until about 2006. This was about a couple of years into John Cena's run. And then at that point, I was really just watching pay-per-views and kind of reading recaps. So the John Cena era, I wasn't around for a whole lot of it. Like I said, I saw the pay-per-views, I was reading the recaps, but as far as the weekly television, no. So I never saw anything special about John Cena. He doesn't work for me. So him coming out and saying that he's retiring, pandering to the crowd, which he usually does, this means nothing to me. Next year will be his last. It'll be interesting to see if they give him another title run. Hopefully they'll book him stronger than what they've been doing for the last few years, in which he loses to damn near everyone. For someone who is called the greatest of all time, that doesn't necessarily mean he has to come back and put everyone over. But that's what he's been doing. He put Austin Theory over. He put Solo Sikoa over. It just keeps losing. He put Roman Reigns over. I get it, but if he's the greatest of all time, to me, he needs to still be booked fairly strongly. I assume he will be next year, but yeah, I don't care. He's retiring next year, and he had a good long career. Our next match, which I'm surprised was not the main event, was for the World Heavyweight Championship. Seth Rollins versus champion Damian Priest. Boy. There's a lot that's been said about this match, and I'm not even sure where to begin. I did notice that Seth Rollins is still not quite in, the best shape, but he's still in better shape than the rest of us, so I'm not trying to shame him or anything like that. He just kind of has that same issue that Sheamus had. He just needs to kind of get, He'll get it off. That's Seth Rollins is like I said, he's a warrior. He'll get back into shape there. But this match was fine. There's elements to it that once again drive me nuts. Seth Rollins does that stupid suicide dive ×3, which doesn't look like it hurts anyone. It's so dumb. A lot of back and forth offense. There was a point in this match where the crowd started to chant Undertaker to Priest, which I found really, really funny. They both have moments where they stop and they look at the entrance thinking that Drew McIntyre is going to come out and cash in on them. My question to both of them, or the way that this is all set up, is when does a cash in not involve music playing? So why in the world would they need to stop and look at the entrance thinking oh my God, is Drew coming? Don't worry, the music will tell you. I'm not sure of how many cash-ins that have involved someone just coming out from out of nowhere. I mean, they have to go through an entire process to cash in. This isn't like the 24/7 title where they can come in, roll you up, and then just run away scot-free. Like, it doesn't work like that. They have to give it to the ref. They have to announce it. They have to do this whole thing before they can actually cash in the Money in the Bank contract. It makes no sense why they're stopping to look at the entrance. But anyhow, let's just get to the end. Seth Rollins hits his superplex into Falcon Arrow combo. The ref counts 1. The ref counts 2. And then the ref kind of lets up on 3. He doesn't put his hand all the way down. And unfortunately, Damian Priest does not kick out. Now, I've heard everything from there was a musical cue error in which Drew McIntyre's music was supposed to hit, and that was supposed to I guess, stop the referee from counting 3. I don't know why. When would the referee ever stop counting just because music hit? That doesn't make any sense to me, but okay. And then I've heard that Damian Priest just simply didn't kick out like he was supposed to. Whatever the reason would be, here's the thing that a lot of people are not saying. I'm not sure if I've heard anyone say it. Why in the hell would you produce a match in which Damian Priest is in a position to not kick out of a superplex Falcon Arrow combo? How many times has Seth Rollins won with that combination? I'm sure it's happened at some point, but it doesn't happen often. I haven't seen it happen in years. And for damn sure, I haven't seen it happen to a world champion. So why would you put Damian Priest in a position to where he's not kicking out of that and you're relying on a musical cue to set up Drew McIntyre coming out? That makes no sense. Once again, overthinking things. This should have come off of a curb stomp by Seth Rollins, not his signature. His finisher, yes. His signature, no. Especially on the world champion. Why are we in this position to begin with? We're not thinking. And also, I know they've done this several times. You should never have a situation where you have to rely on the backstage to sync up with what's going on in the ring. Stop making things more complicated than they need to be. Just simply have Drew cash in. We don't need his music to go off to distract the referee to make him stop counting, in which he normally wouldn't stop counting anyway. We don't need to have all that. Just simplify it. Have Drew come out. As a result, it makes Damian Priest look stupid, assuming that he wasn't in the wrong. It makes the referee look stupid, assuming he wasn't in the wrong. It makes Seth Rollins look stupid because he actually won the match. But yet, here we are. Drew McIntyre comes down and he's cashing in. And now we have a triple threat match. And now we get to the point where my next. So obviously at this point, Drew kind of gains the upper hand and it looks like he's going to win. But then CM Punk comes down and interferes. And I don't know what to think of this at this point. We don't need any more of this. It just looks cartoonish at this point. If you're Drew McIntyre, you look stupid. He has already cost you the title on multiple occasions. Why are you not already on high alert for this to happen again? Why have you not recruited someone backstage to have your back? Pay them if need be. But this is too much. We don't need any more of this to add to their feud. Their feud is already hot enough. This was just totally unnecessary. CM Punk comes, he hits Drew, beats him up, chokes him out, hits him with the belt, and then a South of Heaven chokeslam from Damian Priest on Drew gets the 1, 2, 3. I just... Seth is obviously mad at CM Punk after the match because now it's cost him his ability to challenge for the title. You can tell Damian Priest, is visibly upset. He didn't even celebrate when he won. He's too busy. He's too mad over what happened, the botched pin spot. Either he realizes he was supposed to kick out, or he's wondering why the music didn't go off, but he is obviously not very happy. There's no celebration from Damian Priest. And the entire ending of this match just looks so amateur. But given everything that happened, you would think that would have been the main event. I mean, given how lackluster the actual main event was, I would have put that match, Seth Rollins versus Damian Priest, as the main event. Damian Priest is your world champion, defending in a singles match. There's no reason for him to be in the middle of the card. If your other champion, Cody Rhodes, is not defending his belt, then guess who should be the main event? Damian Priest with his championship. It just makes that championship once again look second rate. And it's not like we didn't already know, but there's going to be a point someday down the line where WWE is going to want you. They're going to be so desperate for you to believe that championship that Damian Priest has, or whoever has it, is on equal footing with the undisputed championship, and none of us are going to buy it because of things like this. That should have been your main event. Well, because of how just messed up that entire match was, it just ruined what was, a pretty standard, solid match between Seth and Damian Priest. So I'm giving it 2 stars out of 5. I'm sorry, there's too much going on in these matches where they're not playing out well, where the ending is messed up, and we're losing sight of the basics. As I said in the beginning, we're trying to do too much, and it's ruining the matches. So from one of the, so if we go from that to a match that I went back and forth on for 24 hours, the women's Money in the Bank match with Naomi, Zoey, Lyra, Tiffany, Chelsea, and Io. This match did not start well. A lot of botches. The women were going way too fast. They needed to slow the fuck down. Just slow down and let yourselves ease into the match. Thankfully, they did. And what could have been one of maybe the worst matches of the year actually turned into arguably one of the best. But with that said, this was at the opposite end of the spectrum from the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. If that match was too safe, this match, the women's match, there were a lot of times where I just said to myself, I hope no one dies. And you might be saying, oh, you're being melodramatic, oh, you're being hyperbolic. No. These women were doing some things to each other where I just said to myself, I hope they take this move safely. You knew what was about to happen. But look, Zoey took a couple of spots, including a tombstone from the top of the ladder from Io Sky, where I just sat back and I said, I feel bad for her. Not because she took that tombstone, but because in her mind, she probably is thinking, if I do this, if I have this memorable spot, maybe they'll see me in a different light. Maybe I'll get a push. And the reality is that usually never happens. The people in these Money in the Bank ladder matches or in these gimmick matches who take some of the worst bumps or do some of the most fantastic things, they're rarely the ones getting pushed. Go see Shelton Benjamin. Ask him how that worked out for him. They're the ones that get put into this match because they're essentially being used by WWE to put on a very fancy match. The real stars of the match, they're the ones who take the least amount of bumps. And then they end up winning the match anyway. Like I said, I feel sorry for people like Zoey. I'm sure they think that if they put on a really good show, management will think differently of them. But that rarely happens. Think about how, what was it, a couple of years ago, people were talking about Montez Ford, some of the things that he was doing in the Elimination Chamber and everything, like, oh man, this is surely going to make him a single star. Yeah, he's still floundering in a tag team. This is how it works. People in these gimmick matches, both in WWE and AEW, take on a lot of unnecessary punishment, probably in the hopes that things will change for them in their standing within the company. And it rarely works out that way. But it's a miracle that some of the women in this match are still alive. But there are a lot of creative spots. Naomi doing a split between two ladders and then countering like a punch from Zoey into a DDT. That was a great spot. The girls were hitting hard, hitting stiff. And they put on a great show. I mean, I can't knock them for putting on a great show other than just, I want people to be safe. Maybe it's because I've gotten older and this isn't teenage me who wants to see a car wreck. Maybe I've seen enough of them. This is just, I guess this is adult me saying, I hope everyone is safe. I don't need to see someone get a broken neck for my entertainment. And I know that the counter to that is, well, they put themselves out there. This is their choice. Doesn't mean I can't care about their well-being. I'm not trying to act like I know these people or anything like that, but I don't need people half killing themselves for my entertainment. Especially when I've seen it all too often before. I mean, I've been watching ladder matches like this for what? Almost 30 years now? There's not a whole lot that's done in these matches that I haven't seen before. And therein lies the problem, is that they know that too. And so they feel the need to come up with these ridiculous spots that look great. But once again, you ask yourself, why are you doing this? You're only hurting yourself. It doesn't put you in a better spot to grab the briefcase or the championship or whatever is hanging from the ceiling. It just knocks both you and whoever you were doing it to out of the match. Nice spot, but what does this serve? How does this serve you? The way these matches are produced, they don't make a whole lot of sense. But this was the best match of the night. I'm going to give it 4 out of 5 stars. It was the best match of the night. The women killed it. They gave him a standing ovation afterwards, Michael Cole and company, and they deserved it. They deserved it. Oh yeah, I almost forgot to mention that Tiffany Stratton won this Money in the Bank ladder match. I imagine that they'll have her pretty up the briefcase and then she'll hold it, and Nia Jax will beat Bayley and mercifully take that title off of Bayley because they don't know what to do with her. But Nia will win at SummerSlam, and then they'll kind of play the game of will she or won't she cash in, that is Tiffany, on her new friend Nia Jax. So yeah, Tiffany Stratton is your Money in the Bank ladder match winner. Our last match, our main event, was a completely boring 6-man tag between the Bloodline, Solo Sikoa, Tama Tonga, and Jacob Fatu versus Kevin Owens, Randy Orton, and our champion, Cody Rhodes. This was a dull match. This was a standard match. It should have been a tornado tag match where they just let them all go. Just let them beat each other up all over the ring, outside the ring, in the arena. Just let them go. Having it be a standard tag match just made this so dull. Because for like the first third of the match, Randy takes the beating and then he gets a tag. And then KO takes a beating and he gets a hot tag. And then you got Cody in there. And then finally things start to get a little chaotic. There's a ref bump. There's 2 ref bumps. One far more ridiculous than the other. One where it was just like, okay, that could have been avoided. This looked really bad. But there was a point where the faces got to hit all their finishers. The ref was down. A lot of people are talking about Jacob Fatu and how well he looked in this match. He looked fine. I wouldn't say it was anything special. Yes, he did kind of no-sell Randy Orton's DDT, but I didn't. That doesn't necessarily impress me. I still don't buy this new Bloodline. Just doesn't work. Where they're heading to with this story with the Bloodline, to me, is absolutely stupid. Like once I really want to save this for like its own video, but where this is headed makes no sense. I'll leave that at that. But anyway, what also doesn't make sense is that one Samoan Spike puts down Cody Rhodes and Solo Sikoa gets the clean win over Cody. This is the same Cody Rhodes that took the kitchen sink at WrestleMania and kicked out every single time, and yet one Samoan Spike plus a referee who had to crawl over to make the pin put him down for a clean win. What are we doing? It's so inconsistent. And Cody being in this match in the first place just shows you they had no real plans for him over the summer. I've said this over and over again. This is the problem with wrestling as a whole, not just WWE, is that the chase is far more interesting than anything else with our champions, with any recent champion. They chase the title, they win the title, and then they have nothing to do. And if you don't have someone who's all that particularly interesting in the first place, which I've been saying, Cody Rhodes is not a very interesting person. He's really good in the ring, but there's nothing about his character that does it for me. Then you're left with someone who's just spinning their wheels until The Rock gets back or Roman gets back. But that's how this pay-per-view ended. Solo and the Bloodline win. That's it. No Roman return, which I really wasn't expecting. Some people were. I wasn't expecting that. Not at a B-level pay-per-view like this. Why would Roman return here? I know someone's going to say, well, John Cena returned, I think, at Money in the Bank last year. I'm like, yeah, that's someone who's been out for a long time, and I just don't think John Cena carries that kind of weight. So you can bring him back at a B-level pay-per-view. But Roman, it's got to be SummerSlam. But as I said in the beginning, WWE really dropped the ball with this pay-per-view. They were doing way too much. They were overthinking how to do what should have been very simple things. And we're left with a company that is just really desperately trying to get to SummerSlam, because that's where a lot of these things will either break open or wrap up. A lot of these storylines. And we're going to get Cody Rhodes versus Solo Sikoa. I just know we're all looking forward to that. I can't wait. for that banger of a match. That's going to headline SummerSlam. Boy, that's going to be great. If you cannot hear the sarcasm in my voice, then I guess I'm just not doing a good job. But yeah, this was a bad premium live event. Just bad booking, bad production, botches all over the place, miscues. Just a company that needs to slow down. But doesn't matter. They're killing it in those ticket sales, and they're hot right now. So these kinds of things, however angry people are at some of the booking decisions, this won't last. People get all riled up about this. Look, for everything that I've said here in the last 30 or so minutes, I'm not mad at any of it. It's wrestling. I got bigger problems to think about than how a wrestling premium live event is booked, or the botches that went into a match, or if a particular match should have been the main event or not. It's whatever. They'll rebound, and we'll be, before you know it, SummerSlam will be here. But anyhow, those are my thoughts on Money in the Bank 2024. Let me know what you thought down in the comments. Please like, share, and subscribe. And we'll see you in the next video.